Hello, Mr. Hurst.
Hi.
So, you're applying to be a history teacher at our high school,
Mm-hmm.
correct?
Yes.
Okay. What would you say is your greatest strength?
I feel like my greatest strength has really been learning how to treat students as an individual. And, not everyone learns differently. Not everyone responds the same to a certain teaching style or everything. So learning how to adjust and understand that students are their own person. And especially at this time, they're really developing in their own person. So they're kind of changing bi-weekly. So learning how to adjust and treating them as their own person and not just another number in my class. I feel like that's really important, and that's what I really try to focus on in my classrooms.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay. And can you tell me about a mistake you made?
I feel like when I started teaching and when I started working in education, I was making a few mistakes in discipline and
Interesting.
learning how to recognize when a student is going to respond a certain way or when they need sometimes they just need to be talked to, and sometimes they're acting out for a reason, and really being able to recognize that. And also when they're learning how to see when they need to learn a different way, because I could say something to one student and they get it the first time, but I could say it 100 times to someone else and they'll never understand it. So learning how to see when they're confused and trying to figure out what they're confused about was something that I really had to figure out.
And what would you say is the greatest obstacle you've had to overcome?
I think, like a lot of people, when I started teaching, I really was nervous about like public speaking and all that. But I kind of got over that quite quickly. But dealing with like a large group by myself, I mean, obviously when I started in education, like, I'm with a teacher, I'm a TA helping in the class, but learning how to handle it on my own was something I had to overcome. It's not really something I learned in school. It's just something you have to pick up.
Right.
And I did a lot of field trips with like elementary school kids, kinder, 5th grade, and all that. So learning how to corral them and keep them focused, and also come and bring them back when they're kind of acting out as a group and it's not just one student. Controlling a group and keeping everyone's needs in mind, but also I have to teach, and maybe just adjusting it for some students later was something I had to overcome.
Interesting. And what would you say motivates you?
Before I started teaching and working with kids, I just really wanted to teach them something new, and especially in the beginning, I just love seeing their faces light up when they finally get it, and when they've been working on it for a long time, and just like, oh, like that's it. Whether it was history or math, that was like my favorite part of the day. As I've done it more, I really felt like I really get more of a purpose out of it, seeing them grow like emotionally and as people. And sometimes students don't need help with math; they just need to have someone listen to them. And I've worked in some lower income schools, and they have a lot of home problems, and sometimes they just need help, not just having someone listen, but maybe trying to figure out how they're feeling. And that's something that I really try to do every day. Just look out for someone who needs more help emotionally, and especially now that be high school age students, that's something that they're dealing with in a very different way, but they still need support like that. So just being there as a person for a student is what I am most passionate about and what I look forward to do every single day. But I also love teaching history. It's interesting, and I just want to be able to bring that to them too.
And how would you say your boss would describe your work ethic?
Definitely dedicated. I always put 100% into everything, but probably also really self-aware. I know when I need help. I know when something that I'm not doing isn't working, and it's like I can't really quite figure out what I need to adjust. And I always come to them like, I'm doing this. Do you think this might work better? What do you suggest? What have you done? So I'm always aware of when I need help, and I'm always open to asking for it. I'm not trying to be like, I know everything. It's my class, my rules.
Interesting. And tell me about a time you had to work as part of a team.
In particular, when I worked at a lower income elementary school, there was one student in kindergarten. When he started, he was really scared about going to class, and he was not having tantrums, but more like an emotional outburst of just crying hysterically, and he was really scared, and he'd have like little panic attacks. So I really worked with him a lot, and he was really responding well to me. But you know, I was just a TA at the time. I didn't have a lot of prior knowledge and I didn't know what he needed. So I worked with his teacher a lot. I worked with the administration, the principal, and school psychologists to kind of figure out what they thought was best, because they knew more than me and they knew more about his situation. So while I was with him the most directly, you know, I took all, you know, we all listened to each other, and I was like, you know, he's doing this, and they would give me feedback what they thought was best, what they've been taught. So I really worked with them, and I also worked with some of his siblings because they were having the same issues. So I'd go to their teachers and be like, you know, this one's doing a bit better. This worked for him. Do you think that would work for his brother, or do you think something else might be better? So I really work with all the knowledge that everyone has, because I know something different than they do. So.
And how would your peers describe you?
Definitely focused. I really, you know, when I'm at work, I'm focused on work. I'm always thinking about the kids and what more I can implement, how they're responding to certain things, what they might like respond to later, like when they go to lunch, when they come back. You know, they've been a little bit antsy. Maybe show them a video, something else that might work better for keeping them all engaged. And I think that also might seem a bit reserved to people, because on my lunch break, I'm just thinking about what to do next. I'm not really chatty or sociable. So.
Interesting. And what are 3 character traits you would say that you admire in a leader?
Definitely someone who's knowledgeable and, you know, has something to give me to help me do my job better. And someone who's dedicated, you know, willing to put in the extra hours. You know, whether they're paid or not, sometimes you got to work past the clock. So someone who's always willing to do that, because, you know, I'm always willing to do that for students if I think it's better. And, you know, if they are, then it's only more helpful to everyone else. And someone who's really compassionate to also not just me, but students, me, other teachers. You know, we all have our own experiences and our own situations. So someone who can understand that we're all doing it in our own way.
Awesome. And who is your mentor?
I think at the first school I worked at, I really looked up to this one teacher. He was in administration, and he also was kind of like the tech guy at school, and I always would help him out. And I would always see people come into his room, teachers and students, just talking to him or coming with like problems, and he would always just stop what he was doing and focus on them and like give them whatever help he could. And I really appreciate that, because I'd always, you know, they'd leave and I'd see him be like, I'm so behind on work, but he'd always take that time, no question, never make anyone feel bad. So I really appreciated that. And he was also someone who all the kids loved him. He's everyone's favorite teacher, but also he was the best at disciplining kids. So it was interesting to see that balance of how he could be everyone's favorite, but he also, they knew not to mess around when he was there. So watching that kind of 2 sides of him that he really managed really well was something I tried to, I haven't mimicked it perfectly, but I really tried to try and copy that and have an open door, but also, you know, be firm.
That's great. I love that. Where do you think you see yourself in 5 years?
I'd really like to teach AP. I have a lot of ideas of things that I think might work better for AP students, and I would really like to eventually become a college professor so I could take that step to get to where I want to be. I think that would be really, really ideal for me.
And what are your plans curriculum-wise, and how do you see yourself implementing them in the classroom?
You know, like I said, for APs, I had this one professor. He would give us the assignments for the semester, and we could do any of them that we wanted as long as it added up to 50 points. That was our homework.
Oh, wow.
So we could pick up ones that we felt we could, we felt we were better at writing more. We could do that. Chapters that interested us more. We really could pick our strong suit. And I think that would work really well for AP students who have that extra dedication. Because I don't want them, you know, APs are stressful enough, and, you know, giving them some flexibility while also challenging them would be great. And I think for the regular students, you know, in the regular classes, I want to have diversity. I want to be able to keep them interested, you know, obviously visual things, because that's better for certain learners. I want to practice writing. You know, essays is really important in college, but they are not everyone's strong suit, so I just want to practice them. I don't want to make someone feel like it's going to make or break their grade. I want to work on working in groups, public speaking, doing presentations. But, I want to have a variety because not everyone is the best at presenting, but they need to practice it,
Mm-hmm.
So,
No, that's great.
having different types of ways of not just, I don't want to just lecture on the board, having
Right.
different visual things,
Mhm.
engaging them, and different types of assignments.
Okay. And if you won the lottery, what would you do with the money? Let's say it was $1 billion lottery.
It was $1 billion. No one needs $1 billion. No one needs $500 million. I'm not going to keep all that. I think I'd probably, I donate most of it. I think that also a lot of it I'd give to, my family, my friends, and I think people I work with, I'd really try to, look out for. Like everyone gets some. I don't
And we
need
should
that.
definitely hire you.
I don't need that much. All teachers are underpaid, so I can, give them a little. I appreciate everything that you do for your students, and appreciate that you chose this line of work. I'm not here for the money, so even if I had money and I could retire at 22, I would. I'd keep working because I'm not working because I want the money. I'm working because that's something I find passionate and fulfilling in. So, it'd be nice to not have to worry about retirement
Of
or all
course.
that. So, I'd keep that little spot for me. But, I'm not going to keep all that.
Well, Mr. Hurst, it was very nice speaking with you, and we'll give you a call back soon.
That sounds great.